Welcome back. Let's squeeze in some other news following those damning allegations against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Now, he's being sued by R&B singer Cassie, who you may remember was his longtime girlfriend. She filed a 35-page civil lawsuit on Thursday, accusing him of rape, physical abuse, and sex trafficking, among many other claims.
In response, Combs released a statement through his lawyer calling the allegations baseless and outrageous lies. Cassie is seeking an unspecified amount in damages. Here is Scripps news correspondent Maura Sirianni with more on the case.
Sean Diddy Combs is accused of years of sexual and physical abuse by his ex-girlfriend, singer Cassie. Cassie, whose legal name is Cassandra Ventura, met Combs when she was 19 years old. That's when she says she was lured into his fast-paced, drug-fueled lifestyle. Combs signed her to his record label in 2005 when he was 37 years old. In the federal lawsuit filed in New York, Ventura alleges more than a decade of abuse during their relationship. She claims Combs drugged and savagely beat her and forced her to have sex with male prostitutes. She also says toward the end of their relationship in 2018, he raped her. A lawyer for Combs says, quote, he vehemently denies these offensive and outrageous allegations. For the last 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Ms. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blackmail. Cassie's lawyer responded to the rapper's statement, acknowledging the two sides spoke before the lawsuit was filed, and says Combs offered her 8 figures for her silence, which she rejected. The case is being brought under New York's Adult Survivor Act, which expires next week. The law allows people who say they are victims of sexual abuse to come forward even after the statute of limitations has expired.
Something that shows that at the time this was happening, she either told someone about it or made some notes about it, or there's some messages or something about it at the time this happened, which will cut into any arguments that this is her after the fact trying to punish him.
Ventura says, quote, after years in silence and darkness, I am finally ready to tell my story and to speak up on behalf of myself and for other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships. Combs is the founder of Bad Boy Records. He also has 3 Grammys, launched a clothing line, and produced MTV's Making the Band. The lawsuit mentions a speech Combs gave last year in which he thanked Cassie for, quote, holding him down during dark times. Cassie alleges the truth, though during those dark times, she was the victim of much abuse. Maura Sirianni, Scripps News.
All right, let's bring in our guest for this hour. Still with us, trial attorney Michael Jafer. And Michael, you know, you heard there in the package there that what's going to be needed here, because again, it's going to be a he said, she said, but there's going to have to be some contemporaneous evidence around the time of these things happening to support her claims for her to expect to win this.
Yeah, I agree. You are correct. So, you know, whenever, leave it to Hollywood to have these outlandish, you know, very overly dramatic just allegations back and forth that are so disparate between one another, right? She's saying that he's a complete monster. He's saying she's blackmailing me. It's insane, which it makes sense, you know, it makes total sense that she would have to have some sort of evidence commensurate with the allegations and the timeline. Something has to add up. It can't just be hearsay. It can't just be, you know, secondhand accounts. So this is going to be interesting. And she's saying, and her attorneys are saying, that they've already declined a private offer of millions of dollars for her silence, and they persisted with their demand, and now she's filing this lawsuit. I mean, obviously it's about money, but it's just insane, the disparity between what she's saying and what he's saying. It boggles my mind.
Here's what's so hard for me. If what she's saying is true, horrible. He needs to be held accountable. On the other hand, I could imagine either side being exactly true. Even though they're very opposite positions, I could imagine either case being so. And so I think, though, even if she has evidence, it's really going to boil down to a jury believing his word or her word, Michael. So knowing that, what advice would you give one of them, either one of them, if they're your client?
Well, if I was representing Sean Combs, I would tell him you've got a very big uphill battle because of the fact that she was 19 when you began your relationship with her. Also, not only were you 37 and she was 19, but the power imbalance was very, very, very off. What I tell my clients, obviously I don't represent rap moguls, is if you're in a position of power, any female in your orbit is radioactive, no touch, no matter what the concept, no matter what it is, no matter their age. If they work for you, or if you're in a position where you have any type of authority or the ability to even just promote them, you do not touch that part. It becomes a business relationship, nothing more. This guy was addicted to drugs. He was a rap star. He was a movie star, and he employed this woman, right? So I think that the leverage is held by her. Right now, we saw the same thing, you know, with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Obviously, that was different. But anytime you're in a position of authority over someone's career or the ability to promote them, and then you get into a relationship, you basically are taking the risk, and you better know the risk at the beginning. And even if you're right, Judge Ashley, because it could be the situation where he's right and she's right, but they just have different interpretations. And guess what? The interpretation is going to sway in her favor only because of the fact that he was so much older, and he's everything in her industry, and he made her career, right? He brought her in. We all have heard her songs, and now I know why. I didn't know they were in a relationship. Now I know why. He promoted her and he made her well known. So you kind of take that risk, Mr. Combs.
Yeah, and I wish there's a lot of people in Hollywood and in the music industry that have not got the memo, Mike, because they certainly need the memo, right? Because we've seen so much of this going on. But let me ask you this. We heard from Ben Brofman, very powerful attorney in New York City. He's been P. Diddy's attorney for decades now. His claim is that she came to him initially, before filing this lawsuit, looking for $30 million. Is that something that perhaps may make its way into a civil trial? Is that something that we should read into, or is that just business as usual?
If he can prove, I mean, because it's an attorney, right? If he can prove that she actually demanded $30 million, that would be relevant, right? Because their defense is she's extorting us. So it's relevant to show that she asked for money because you're saying she extorted me. Well, here's the evidence of it. I don't know if he has it. I don't know what the evidence is or how he would prove it. But I think he would have to find some way to prove that. Otherwise, I mean, that's the crux of their defense, by the way. The crux of their defense is she wanted money and we did not cave in, and now she's doing this because she wants attention and she wants the money. So yeah, I agree with you, Michael. He would have to bring that in. Will he bring that in? It depends on how strong and how the foundational aspect of the evidence is.
And there's one little factor too, Judge, that I think is interesting, and he brought it up in his statement that the New York Adult Survivors Act is going to expire November 24th. And for folks who don't know, what that is New York actually put into effect a law that said you had extra time to report sexual abuse, even if the statute of limitations had passed. And this was in response during the Me Too era when things were going on, and our acknowledgement that women hold back some of these claims. And they need time to really deal with this, and the statutes of limitations don't address that, so they gave them more time.
Right, and often you're right, women don't, or victims, not just women, they don't go through life until much later to say, wait a minute, this happened and it wasn't okay. Georgia has passed a similar statute. It's not uncommon now, I think, that states are doing this. Michael, the criminal charges, so let's just distinguish. This is civil. There are no criminal charges pending. I suspect the statute of limitations for these particular kinds of charges have run. So, Michael, is this justice? Is it fair if civil is the only way to get to him if these allegations are true? And just in 10 seconds, I realized we're out of time. That was my fault.
I think anytime you hit someone's checkbook, you're getting some form of justice, yes.
All right.